All right, so in this video on example 2 number 7, I highly recommend that you guys actually just, stop or pause the video and actually try this problem before I go over it. And that way you'll, have a better understanding if you understand what I just explained. Okay, so, pause it for however long it takes you to complete this problem. And then you can press play on the video. All right, so hopefully you guys attempted this problem. Before I even begin, on part A, I'm asked to do a comparison, right, with the parent function f. And the way to do that is you have to put this in general form. In other words, you have to factor it. So let's factor this, what's on the inside of this function, okay? So over here, I'm going to factor out that -2. You could put brackets or parentheses. It doesn't really matter. All right, so I factored it, right? Now I can tell, if it's a shift, to the right or to the left. If you just look at the original function, right, you might think it's shifted 4 to the left, but it's actually 2 units to the right, okay? All right, so line by line, this negative right here in front of the 2, this negative right here, it's a reflection over the x. This guy right here tells you it's a reflection over the y, okay? So I'll say reflection over the x and y. This number right here changes the size of the graph vertically. So because the absolute value of a is greater than 1, vertical stretch by a factor of 2. This number, which is your b value, okay, absolute value of b is greater than 1, is a horizontal, not a stretch, but a horizontal shrink, or you can say compression, okay, shrink. Doesn't matter which word you use, either one's fine. By a factor, again, you don't say by a factor of 2, right? You say by a factor of 1 over the absolute value of b, so a factor of 1/2, okay? So again, the horizontal one's always confusing. The wording is factor of b, not factor of b, it's a factor of 1 over b. And last but not least, right, it's 2 units to the right and then 1 unit down. Okay, so 2 units to the right, 1 unit down. All right, so now that we have an idea of, what do these actual symbols do to the original graph of f, let's get the coordinates. Okay, so if you forgot what the original coordinates are, let me write it out here again. A was -2, 4. B, we said, was 0, 3, our y-intercept. And then part C is 2, 0. Okay, so we're going to actually do the transformation now. Here's x, and here is, I believe this function is called g, right? Okay, so we need to figure out a prime, b prime, c prime. But what do we actually need to do? Again, for the x values, right, you look on the inside. I have a -2 here, right? And I have a +2 right here. So this -2 indicates that I need to divide by -2. This 2 that shifts it 2 units to the right indicate I need to add 2. So divide by -2. Again, your order of operations matters here. And add 2. So you would divide first before adding 2, right? And then you're like, well, what do I need to do with the y values? You just look at what's outside, okay? So outside I have this, and I have this, right? Outside the brackets or parentheses. So this number, -2 right here, indicates I need to multiply, and this -1 indicates I need to subtract 1. So multiply by -2, and then subtract 1. Okay, so you're like, where are you getting all these rules, Mr. Zhu? Go back and look in the first page where I had the column of notes, or rows of notes from 1 through 6. And in the very last column, I wrote the coordinate rule. Those are where the rules come from. Okay, so the last step is just to perform the operations, okay? So -2 divided by -2, that's +1. +1 plus 2 is 3. For 0, if I divide by -2, that's 0. And if I add 2, that's going to give me 2. 2 divided by -2 is -1. -1 plus 2 is 1. All right, so for the y values, you need to multiply by -2 and subtract 1. 4 times -2 is -8. -8 subtract 1 is -9. 3 multiplied by -2 is -6. -6 subtract 1 is -7. And 0 multiplied by -2 is 0. 0 subtract 1 is -1. Okay, so I'll let you guys do the plotting and connect. Okay, so that part isn't that difficult. Part C, for the domain and range of G, you can just look at the table, right? The domain is going to be x's from 1 to 3. And the range, your smallest y value looks like it's -9, and it's going to go up to the biggest y value, which is -1.